Hello, this is Rachelle with Live in Vibrancy, and today I'm going to talk about making an anchor. My husband came home unexpectedly. He works out of town, so my family's watching a movie, so I'm hiding in a spare room. Okay, so I want to talk about so the reason that you would make an anchor is because it can really help you kind of create these connections between your mind and body. And these will help you sort of begin to manage emotions to really get your set point into a place of calm, because confidence is calm. And so I discovered anchors when my relationship was at its worst point. And I was just really sick of feeling so horrible. The anxiety, just like the racing heart, I couldn't sleep, I didn't eat. And so I had come across making an anchor as a way to take your body out of that fight or flight, right? In that panicked moment when it seems like the things that you're creating are not going to happen. An anchor can really help you. And so then after I was manifesting, the same would happen. Something would come up, and in my mind, those thoughts would start, and I would get thinking of everything terrible that could happen. And so I was able to use the anchor to calm down my emotional response so that I could then get myself realigned, get my thoughts going, because at this point, these were just like panic emotions. And so once they get going, it can be really hard to get back into the right mindset. It can really throw you off, and it can send you off down with stories of all sorts of crazy stories running through your head of everything that could go wrong, that it's not happening. And so having an anchor, and I created an anchoring phrase, plus used the physical anchor in those moments, right? To recognize that these are not facts, these are not my actual thoughts, and they're outside of my assumption. So the goal was to recognize when my thoughts needed, or my emotions really needed to be processed, and then the rest of the time I used a lot of tools to help me manage the panic, because once the panic occurs, then your mindset work gets really thrown off. So an anchor, the very first anchor I created was, as I said, to just really be able to get myself out of that constant fear, out of that because of everything that I was experiencing. And so this one, you go into a meditation. I chose one about I think my favorite one at that time was about 15 minutes long. You probably don't need to hold the anchor for 15 minutes. That was just the length of the meditation. But it seems to me, I also recall one where you could probably set it in about a 5-minute meditation. But the goal is here, it has to be in a really relaxed state, because what you're doing is you're making that mind-body connection. You're going to be creating something that triggers your body or your mind, your mind and body to move back to that calm state. So you want to find a meditation that is really relaxing for you. And the very first anchor that I created was basically to place my tongue on the roof of my mouth while I was in that really relaxed alpha mind meditative state. Never fails. I'm going to trip on my tongue when I'm doing this. So you want to be able to, I've seen before where they will create an anchor just doing this with their hand, or, touch their shoulder while feeling an elevated emotion, because if you do this several times repeatedly, your brain will make those two connections. But the emotion has to be elevated. I know I've talked about this before. The same with affirmations. It really helps to add emotion to things when you want your mind to take them on, because you're using that mind-body connection, right? And it's the mind-body connection that often can throw us off. So it's nice to have tools in the same way to realign ourselves. So that's one way to make an anchor. If you have an anchoring phrase, this for me was basically a similar thing, where I had essentially learned to sort of shift into really more positive emotions, and I connected a phrase to that high vibrational emotion. But you could also use the meditative state. As I said, I have clients use an anchoring phrase and then practice into an emotion that would align with that, so that they can essentially help themselves move into that emotion using that phrase. So hopefully this tip is as useful for you as it was for me. This was one of the main things that I used to move myself through the process, particularly when I was having those moments and I was really yanked out of alignment. And so if you want more tips like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so that you get notified every Tuesday when I put out a tip. And yeah, let me know how this works for you. I'd really be interested to hear about other people's experiences. So you could leave those in the comments. And if you have any questions about this, definitely leave it in the comments. And otherwise, have a really happy Tuesday.